Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good day. So, last time we did some properties of Lagrangian function, that means properties of state function, a function that describes the state of a mechanical system completely, and we did some properties, and today we will try to find out the definition of Lagrangian function in terms of some quantities we know, like the things we know, energy or something else. So, at the moment we know some properties of Lagrangian function, but we still know how to write a functional form for Lagrangian, so that we can carry out the integration. Everything is in very formal way so far. So, now we have to find out expression for Lagrangian. Before doing that, we will briefly do some properties of the space and time that is required, and then we will do first Lagrangian for a free particle. So, to describe various locations or state of a mechanical system, we need to tell the coordinates of each particle that makes the system. So, we require a coordinates. We require coordinates. It could be Cartesian coordinates, it could be generalized coordinates of each particle of a system which may have many particles. Okay. So, if you require a coordinate, then you require a coordinate system. So, we always find out position vector etc. So, we need to fix some coordinate system. So, question is, where do we fix this coordinate system? What kind of space we require where we consider this coordinate system? Suppose I fix a coordinate system in a space where properties are different. So, if I shift this coordinate system from here to somewhere else, for example, if I shift from air to some water, then the density here, it was air density, and here it was water or something. Inside water you have chosen a coordinate system. Okay. Or as you are moving from one place to other place in space, you go from IIT Kanpur, from IIT Kharagpur, and you do same experiment. So, all the laws will remain the same. It will not depend where you are performing it. You are performing your experiment. Okay. So, whatever laws of physics we write, they have to be invariant. They cannot be space dependent. So, the coordinate system we consider coordinate system in a space which is homogeneous and isotropic. Now, what is the meaning of homogeneous or isotropic and isotropic? Homogeneous means if you shift your coordinate system from one place, let us say location A, to some other location B, and now you do the same experiments or describe position vector or different vector, write and measure, write equation of motion and solve. It should be independent whether it is done here or there. So, homogeneous space means if coordinate system is displaced from one place to other place, then there is no change in its environment. Otherwise, there will be a severe problem. For example, a free particle in a coordinate system, you are considering in lab, you have decided, measured and decided the particle is free, net force acting on the particle is 0. Now, you do the same experiment somewhere else and allow particle to move with a constant velocity. Because of different environment, it will feel differently. So, its behavior will change. So, coordinate systems has to be fixed in a space, and what kind of space you require? That space should be homogeneous. It should also be isotropic. What is the meaning of isotropic and homogeneous? Properties of a space do not change by displacing the system by any amount. What do I mean? Suppose I have a spring and mass system here in this room. I go to some other room, same spring and mass system, and I do various experiments. So, the all properties or measurement, they should be similar, right. It should not change, laws should not change. So, by displacement it should not change. So, if a particle is free, that means net force is 0. So, its Lagrangian function, which in general depends on q, q dot and t, for a free particle, can it depend on q? Q depends, that is the generalized coordinate. So, if you displace, so q will go to something else. So, q will, if you displace by delta q, it would be something else. So, Lagrangian would be different. So, state would be different. I am not telling you are trying applying some force on a particle and particle is acting under the force, then state is changing. No, I am not talking about that. I am talking about a system is here, you shift, that means you give same displacement to each point of the system, same amount, same displacement to each point of the system. So, it is shifted somewhere, its property will not change, right. So, and free particle net force is 0. So, if you displace it, that should be state should not change. So, for free particle, for a free particle, position vector should not appear explicitly in Lagrangian for a free particle. If space is homogeneous, then for a Lagrangian function for a free particle like q, I am writing let us say in Cartesian or polar coordinate position vector r, which may have 3 component x, y, z in Cartesian system. So, it should not appear in the Lagrangian. Why? If it appears explicitly, then value of x, a free particle may be moving with a constant velocity, it is not accelerated. So, a particle is free, then it could be at rest in an inertial frame, or it may be moving with a constant velocity in an inertial frame. So, if it is moving with a constant velocity, so its position is changing, but Lagrangian cannot involve position vector. Why? As position vector appears in the state function, so at different position at different coordinates value of Lagrangian would be different. So, its state is changing. So, for a free particle, the Lagrangian cannot depend on coordinates, because this is connected with the properties which is homogeneity of space. You can displace free particle may be moving with a constant velocity, but at each location it should have similar space. It should not enter somewhere else where it is feeling resistive force, then its environment will change. So, homogeneous space means the properties of space do not change by giving equal displacement to each particle of the system under consideration. What about isotropy? Isotropy is connected with direction dependent. So, space is all properties, space properties are independent of direction. So, how do you do that? If I take a coordinate system and let us say I can rotate it by any axis, maybe z axis, y axis or x axis or any other axis about which I rotate. So, if I have rotated let us say about z axis, then earlier it was like this, now it has rotated. Okay. So, earlier was dotted position and now it is rotated, x prime, y prime and z remains similar. So, if it is rotated and now you do the experiment, what you want to do? There should not be any change. So, space properties should not change if you have rotated by some amount the coordinate system and then is stopped. Okay. So, directional properties come by this rotation. Okay. So, some may say, so if it is homogeneous everywhere, it may be isotropic also, but it is not. It may be homogeneous. For example, let us say I am plotting a part with the assumption this is extending up to infinity, whatever I am plotting, let us say that is extending up to infinity. So, inside let us say I make some pattern. Okay. So, this kind of pattern I have formed. So, now you give a displacement. Suppose I make a smaller one, but I keep its length is different than the width, that is what I am trying to. You can make several kinds of patterns. So, suppose you go from here to somewhere here, it is extending up to infinity. This dotted line tells it same pattern is extending up to infinity. So, suppose I am displaced from here to here and I look the environment, I will find the same. So, it is homogeneous if it is extended up to infinity. But if you look, if you walk this way, you find some barrier is coming at some interval which is different. If you are going this way, then also some barrier is coming, but in this direction it is coming at different distances. So, x axis, walking along x axis is not similar to walking along y axis. So, here there is trouble with isotropy, but more or less homogeneity is there. So, homogeneity does not ensure isotropy. So, space has to be homogeneous as well as isotropic, where we fix our coordinate system. Okay. Then what about time? Time is considered homogeneous, that has to be. Suppose interval between every 2 seconds or every 1 minute has to be exactly equal in a watch you are using. If it is not so, then time is not homogeneous. Suppose I do an experiment for 15 minutes today and get a result, and I do the same experiment tomorrow in same lab, everything is same 24 hours later. If time is not homogeneous, again I do for 15 minutes, but this 15 minutes is not equivalent to the 15 minutes yesterday, then I may find different results in various experiments. Suppose I am heating something. So, in 15 minutes I got something, if I do for longer period it would be something else. So, the time we consider as a position vector is a function of time, velocity is a function of time, etc. So, time must be homogeneous. So, let us say I plot a line showing time. So, all equal intervals must be equivalent, that is what is meant by homogeneity of time. So, wherever we consider a coordinate system and corresponding time, we considered homogeneous and isotropic space, and time is considered homogeneous. Okay. So, with this now we come to try to write an expression for Lagrangian for a free particle. Okay. So, let us say Lagrangian of a free particle for a free particle. I again repeat, what is a free particle? Free particle is a particle on which net force that is acting is 0. So, on free particle total force acting, there is no force, total force is 0 acting on that particle. Okay. So, now the Lagrangian of this will depend on what? Normal Lagrangian depends on position vector, velocity and time. It may be Cartesian coordinate or generalized coordinate, but it depends on position vector means 3 Cartesian coordinate x, y, z, and it can also depend on its velocity and time. But if particle is free, it cannot depend on its position vector, right. In general, a Lagrangian depends on r, r dot and time. Okay. But now free particle, if it depends on r, so as time you displace it, value of r is different. So, it will say it is in different state. So, it is no more behaving like a free particle. So, we cannot put this in the function. So, Lagrangian of a free particle cannot depend on position vector or coordinates explicitly. What about time? Can it depend on time? So, if it depends on time, as time evolves, you consider a free particle which is at rest. So, as time evolves, so Lagrangian depends on time. So, it is changing, its state is changing, something else is happening. So, it cannot depend on time also explicitly. So, now I am writing Lagrangian for a free particle. So, this cannot depend on time either. I am writing for free particle, otherwise it will depend. Suppose there is a spring mass system and mass is moving on a frictionless table etcetera, it is doing some oscillation, then its position is changing, and so it depends on position. The force in a spring depends on its position, or at least the stretching or contraction of the spring. It also depends on velocity, but it does not depend explicitly on time, because force is minus k x, that does not depend on time explicitly. It may depend through x. So, for free particle, the state function or Lagrangian can depend only on velocity. Now, in velocity also there is a direction. So, whether particle is going along a particular direction or in the opposite direction, so then its state would be different. But we know on free particle, whether it is at rest or it is moving with some velocity, its direction is not going to change. It does not depend on the direction of the velocity. A particle, free particle can move either this way, or if it is moving in some inertial frame this way, it will keep moving in that way. So, it will not depend on the direction of velocity. So, but it will depend on velocity, because if it may have some constant magnitude, it may have some speed, it is going along a straight line with a velocity. So, Lagrangian will depend on velocity. So, let us write r dot as v. So, it depends on velocity, but it will not depend on the velocity vector, because velocity vector will have a direction and it cannot depend on direction. Then how can we make a scalar from velocity vector? By taking dot product with velocity. So, that would be v square. So, if a vector is given, we can immediately make it a scalar by taking a scalar product with itself. So, if Lagrangian depends on v square, now direction part has gone. So, that is a possible candidate. So, Lagrangian of a free particle can depend on velocity and it cannot depend on the direction of the velocity. So, it can depend on some scalar form of velocity. So, let us say v dot v is a scalar. So, Lagrangian depends on v square, which is a scalar quantity. Okay. Okay. So, particle is free, then only this is the thing. Now, what is Lagrange's equation of motion? We still know the form of, we still do not know the form of Lagrangian. We only know this is a function which depends on v square, and we also know Lagrange's equation of motion. So, what are Lagrange's equation of motion? Equal to d dt of derivative r dot. So, r dot is v, right, which is same as d dt of right. So, this r dot I have written as v, but this is 0 as Lagrangian does not depend on r. So, this thing, so d dt of derivative of Lagrangian with respect to velocity also must be 0. So, that means partial derivative of Lagrangian of a free particle with respect to velocity must be a constant, right. As Lagrangian depends only on v square, so its velocity with respect to its derivative, partial derivative with respect to v constant means what? This implies the velocity must be a constant. I repeat this part. For a free particle, we argued the Lagrangian function cannot depend on position vector, because as it moves with a constant velocity, its position changes and Lagrangian will change. So, it cannot depend explicitly on r. By similar argument, it cannot depend explicitly on time, because with change of time its state should not change. Newton's first law says if there is no net force on a particle, it will remain at rest in an inertial frame, or in some other inertial frame it will keep moving with a constant velocity. So, by this argument we found the form of Lagrangian function for a free particle, and now applying Lagrange's equation of motion, we learned this part is constant. Its partial derivative of Lagrangian with respect to vector v is constant. Since Lagrangian depends on v square, that means v dot v. So, if you take derivative with respect to v, you will get what? 2 v. So, that would be constant. So, velocity is a constant. So, that is what is Newton's first law. So, this is what is law of inertia. Okay. So, from Lagrangian definition, which gives the complete knowledge or information about mechanical state of the system, we are getting Newton's first law correctly. So, if it is a free particle, its Lagrangian will depend only on a scalar form of velocity. So, v square, and by Lagrange's equation of motion gives v must be a constant. Okay. So, that gives us the law of inertia, Newton's first law. Okay. So, now let us try to find out what its should be. So, let us say I have Lagrangian for a free particle. So, this is a function of v square. Okay. So, now we try to find out if we jump from one frame to other frame, then what is going to happen? So, suppose we have two frame of reference. This is one frame of reference and this is another frame of reference. So, x, y, z, o, x prime, y prime, z prime, o prime. Okay. So, there is some particle somewhere here in first frame of reference, inertial frame, which is at rest. So, its position vector is r. From second one, which is moving with some velocity, it is r prime, and distance between O and O prime, this is vector uppercase R. Okay. So, and this is moving with some velocity v. So, what is velocity v? So, v is, so velocity v is r dot. Okay. So, if I take r dot, I am going to get v. Now, you see the position vector of a point P with respect to the inertial frame sigma, and this I tell moving one sigma prime. So, if you look the relationship, this r vector, position vector r is equal to uppercase R plus r prime. So, that is what I write, this r is equal to r plus r prime. Okay. So, and r is what? Some v times t plus r prime, because it is moving with a constant velocity v. If we take its derivative, then r dot would be v plus r prime dot. So, velocity as seen from inertial first inertial frame is equal to velocity seen in another inertial frame with the velocity at which it is moving. So, this is what we are going to get. Okay. So, now consider this velocity v to be infinitesimally small. So, I consider it is a very small velocity. So, sigma prime is moving with a very small velocity with respect to the frame of reference designated by sigma. So, second one is moving with a velocity v which is infinitesimal. So, very small. Okay. And from here we also get v prime is v minus capital V. So, now let us say Lagrangian with respect of the free particle in slowly moving frame. So, that will depend on v prime square, because Lagrangian of a free particle, if both the frames are inertial frames of reference, then Lagrangian can be computed of the free particle this way. So, this is v prime is v minus capital V square, this is function of this, and we are taking that to be a small thing. So, this is v prime would be v minus epsilon whole square. So, this is function of this. Okay. So, let us expand. So, this would be function of v square minus 2 epsilon dot v plus higher order term, which is epsilon square. Which is epsilon square. So, that is what I am going to get for this Lagrangian. So, let us go to the next page, because this expression I am going to use a few times. So, Lagrangian, new Lagrangian, which is function of v prime square, is Lagrangian of v square minus 2 epsilon dot v plus higher order terms, because epsilon is small. So, that is there. So, this Lagrangian is a function of all this. So, let us do the Taylor expansion and keep the first term. So, this is Lagrangian of v square, the old Lagrangian, and then what I should get? Derivative of this Lagrangian with respect to v square, because that is what we are taking, and rest of them are little perturbations, because epsilon is a small number. Okay. So, now this is multiplied with 2 epsilon dot v and higher order terms are there. Okay. Now, if we add a total time derivative to old Lagrangian and get a new Lagrangian, we have just learned Lagrange's equation of motion does not change. So, in old Lagrangian, if you add a total time derivative and get a new Lagrangian, Lagrange equation of motion will not change, it will remain the same. So, we have to now look carefully, is it total time derivative? If it is total time derivative, then only this will give the same equation of motion. So, epsilon is a constant and v means this is r dot. So, it is a derivative of r, the position vector. So, it is a derivative of r. If this part is a constant, then the whole thing might turn out to be total time derivative of some function, right. So, if it has to be a total time derivative, then only I can say old Lagrangian I have added a total time derivative and this new Lagrangian I have got. So, equation of motion using either this one or that one should not vary. Okay. And we know in all inertial frame a free particle should remain free. So, if that is the case, to make it total time derivative, it should be plus d dt of some function of r and t in general. What is the requirement? If this is a constant, if this term is a constant, epsilon is a constant and v is r dot, which is dr dt. So, then it will become total time derivative. So, our requirement is this partial derivative of Lagrangian of a free particle with respect to v square must be a constant. If that is so, then the Lagrangian will not change, no, Lagrangian will change, Lagrange's equation of motion will not change. Okay? So, if it is constant, then this function must be proportional to v square. Then only if I take a derivative with respect to v square, I will get some constant, and this constant if I choose half m, then it is like kinetic energy. So, so what we learned? We learned the Lagrangian of a free particle must be a function of v square, and then we try to find out a free particle, the motion of a free particle is identical in all frames of reference, in all inertial frames of reference, let me correct. So, it would be identical motion in all inertial frame of reference. So, I chose a frame of reference that is fixed, another is moving with infinitesimal velocity. Infinitesimal velocity helped us in dropping higher order terms in Taylor expansion, and then since two Lagrangian functions should lead to the same equation of motion. So, whatever the extra term has appeared, these extra terms must be a total time derivative. To get that, the partial derivative of Lagrangian of a free particle with v square must be constant. If that is so, then this function must be a constant time v square, and this constant if we choose a positive constant and we write half of m, mass is always positive, then it is half m v square. So, now we can write Lagrangian of a free particle for a free particle, Lagrangian is half m v square. So, which is kinetic energy of the particle. So, for a free particle, Lagrangian function is nothing but the kinetic energy of the particle. If I had not chosen half m something else, then it would be proportional to kinetic energy. So, it is better to choose a physical quantity which we will compute and measure in various experiments. So, for a free particle it is so. So, now immediately let us extend that. Now, suppose we do not have one particle, but we have many particle, non-interacting particle. So, there are n non-interacting particles. Okay. Then Lagrangian would be, if they are non-interacting, then the Lagrangian for the system would be sum of addition of Lagrangian for the each particle. So, if m alpha is the alpha goes from alpha is some index 1, 2, 3 to n, there are n particle. So, alpha m v alpha square and we sum over alpha half, right. So, that is what is the total kinetic energy of non-interacting particle. So, if there is no interaction, there is no potential energy. So, potential energy comes when particle interact or some force is applied on a particle, then there is some force that is acting on the particle. So, if there are many interacting particle, their Lagrangian function is simply sum of their kinetic energy. So, kinetic energy is another thing which is additive in nature. In physics, all those quantities which have this additive property, they are very important thing in physics. There are large number of constants, but only those constants which have some additive property attached with that, they are very important in physics. Okay. So, now this is what is the expression for a kinetic energy for a free particle, and this can be written, let us say, for one particle, for one particle Lagrangian is half m x dot square y dot square z dot square. So, there is little y dot square. This is in Cartesian coordinate. So, suppose you want cylindrical coordinate, then what will happen? R, you have to take cylindrical coordinate r dot, then r square phi dot square plus z dot square if you do in cylindrical coordinate. If you do in spherical coordinate, then mass, let us say it is same. So, r dot square plus r square theta dot square plus r square sin square theta phi dot square. So, you can write for a free particle in Cartesian coordinate, cylindrical coordinate and spherical coordinate, that is how the Lagrangian will look like. Okay. Now, let us consider Lagrangian of a system of particle where they are interacting. Okay. So far, we considered non-interacting particle. So, if there is Lagrangian of an interacting particle, then what will happen? So, one part will remain the same, the kinetic energy part, right. So, that would be V alpha square sum. So, this is kinetic energy, and now there would be some part, right. I am writing minus u, u is potential energy. Why minus sign or plus sign, that will come clear, and as long as particles are interacting, there is going to be some energy associated with that. That is what is called the potential energy of the system. Okay. So, now what is the Lagrange's equation of motion? Lagrange's equation of motion says its derivative with respect to coordinates must be equal to total time derivative of Lagrangian with respect to r dot, that means with respect to velocity. If there are many such particles, so I put an index here alpha, alpha is 1, 2, 3. If there are n number of particles, so it is going to be n, and u will depend on position vector of all such particle in general, or it may depend on difference between position vector. So, in general it may depend on the position vector, etc. Let us assume at the moment these interactions are not explicitly dependent on time. So, in u time does not appear. Okay. So, now from this what do we get? If you take derivative with respect to r alpha, so here r is not appearing, it is appearing only here. So, it would be minus partial derivative of potential energy with respect to R alpha equal to d dt of partial derivative with respect to V alpha. So, that will come from only the first term. So, V alpha square means V alpha dot V alpha. So, we have to take derivative with respect to V alpha. So, what you are going to get? If I take derivative with respect to V alpha, so first derivative with V alpha square with V alpha, what you are going? First will derivative we take with respect to first one, this survives, second time with this. So, it would be 2 B of alpha. Okay. So, there is a factor 2 and there is a factor half here. So, they cancel and we are left with m alpha B alpha. Okay. And what is this? This is nothing but gradient of potential energy, and this is momentum. So, this is P alpha dot. So, did we get Newton's law? And gradient of potential energy with a minus sign, that is how we define the force. So, force is okay. So, here it is gradient with respect to alpha. So, force on alpha particle is this one. So, similarly for each particle. So, why we have taken minus sign? To get force here correctly, force is rate of change of momentum, that is defined, force is defined as minus of gradient with respect to u. So, that is why we have chosen here minus sign. If we do not choose minus sign, then minus will come here in this expression. This is what is Newton's second law. Okay. So, now we can say Lagrangian function which depends on position, velocity and time is nothing but t minus u. Now, for a mechanical system we can find kinetic energy and potential energy, and we can do it in terms of generalized coordinate. It would be again same thing. So, that is what we will write. So, this is an expression for Lagrangian. So, Lagrangian function is a state function which depends on position vector, velocity and time, and it is defined as difference of kinetic energy of the system and the potential energy of the system. If the particles making the systems are interacting, then potential energy is non-zero value, and then you have to take t minus v, and then you have to use Lagrange's equation of motion, and that will give you Newton's second law. So, that is all for today. So, thank you very much.